Hello, hello everybody, it's Girl Got Game, and welcome back to another Gander. Today, I'm going to be taking a gander at Karamu, which is another visual novel that was made for the Otomi Jam this year. This was made by Chattercap, and I've been diligently following the progress of this since it was in early development, I think. So, I'm very excited to check this out, but when I read the description, you might scratch your head as to why, knowing me, but let me read the synopsis for you first. So, 2 weeks ago, Nelli sent her long-term boyfriend Raku the following text. I'm breaking up with you. She has been successfully avoiding him ever since. Until her bike chain breaks. He helps her, but now she's trapped in a forest with only her broken bike, a cell phone with no reception, and her slightly creepy ex-boyfriend for company. He wants to talk, and one thing is clear, he really doesn't want to break up. He probably won't take no for an answer. And, some of the features for this is it features one clingy, overly attached Yandere ex-boyfriend. So, going into this, you guys know, the only love interest is your ex-boyfriend, and he's a Yandere, so that's why you might be scratching your head like, girl, you well? I'm very well. I do like the Yandere archetype, especially if I know going in that they are just committed to the Yandere lifestyle, so I'm excited to see how it's portrayed in this. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start Karamu. And we have a warning. Look at the cute little mushroom. So cute. This game contains horror elements and mature content, gore, and violence. It is also not meant to portray healthy relationship dynamics, and there are elements of dubious/non-consent. Do you still wish to play? I do. But everyone, ye have been warned going into this, okay? Let's see what happens. Thank you very much for trying out Karamu. Would you like a basic tutorial? I mean, sure. Why not? Hit me with that tutorial. Here are some controls to help you get started. You can automatically play through the story so you can sit back and read. And you can adjust the speed in the settings. You can skip through text so you can move through the story quickly. You can specify whether it skips read/all text and whether it continues after choices in the settings. You can also adjust the speed. You can take screenshots. This deactivates the UI and dialogue. Okay, gotcha. Screenshot mode. Log toggles the log, which brings up a history of the lines up until now in case you missed anything. This button opens up the menu. Here you can access additional features. Quit exits to the main menu. You can save, you can load, you can change your settings. You can access various useful bits of information here, including walkthroughs, character profiles, and guides like this one. Ooh, character profiles. Most of these features can be accessed via shortcut keys. Shortcuts can be viewed and rebound in the settings. If you are using a controller, you can use the left joystick to navigate and the south button to click. Please note that the game does not autosave if you quit from the standard screen, so please save or return to the main menu first to save your progress. Thanks for listening to this tutorial. I hope you enjoy the game. Thank you, Chattercap. Okay, I want to see something. Okay, perfect. Let's look at characters. So this is our two characters. I thought I'd give you like a little bio for them. So, Nelli Owens, age 22, biology major at Tricone University, wants to become a veterinarian. Grew up with an abusive father, naturally distrusting of others. Likes animals, baking, retro games/farming sims. Awesome. Dislikes snobs and pushy people. And she has a spider bag, which is great. So this is our main protagonist. And this is the boyfriend. Also likes spiders, apparently. 21. Computer science major at Tricone University. Raku Komode. Wants to become a software engineer. Second-gen Japanese immigrant. Has a turbulent, sometimes violent relationship with his strict affluent family. Loves Nelli. Likes Nelli. Games and caffeine. Hates animals, insects, touchy people, except Nelli. Alright, well, aren't we just the lucky ones? Okay. Let's begin, I guess. Nelli's throat stung as she gulped the cold dawn air. Her arms were shaking. The muscles ached so much that she struggled to grasp the handles. The haggard squeaks from the wheels of her bike tore through the silence that permeated the dark forest. She choked for breath around the small flashlight clenched between her teeth. The light was modest, only illuminating a small patch of the road directly in front of her bike. She needed to hurry. The sun was already starting to rise. It was okay. There were only 3 left. Nelli drove her heel down, pedaling with her renewed vigor. She raised herself from the seat, leaning over the handles of the bike as she frantically turned the pedals, going faster and faster and faster until... snap! Terror ripped through Nelli as she was flung over the handles of her bike. She instinctively covered her face with her arm before she hit the ground. Her shoulder smacked against the concrete and a jolt of pain tore through the right side of her body. For a moment she lay on the road, trying to steady her shaky breaths as the throbbing pain subsided into a dull ache. As soon as her head stopped spinning, she forced herself up on her elbows. She rotated her shoulder. It still hurt, but she could move it without any issues. Her knees and arms stung too. At first she was going to check them for injuries, but then she stopped herself. She got up on her knees and looked around, squinting in an attempt to pierce the murkiness of the early dawn light. Heart pounding, she patted the ground all around her. She found it. She breathed a sigh of relief. The yellow bag had fallen off to the side. She pulled it closer and examined it carefully. The zipper was shut tight. Everything was still inside. Phew! She slung the bag back over her shoulder and retrieved the fallen flashlight before returning her attention to her bike. It had collapsed on its side, wheels still spinning. The chain had come undone, draped over the ground like a dead snake. She picked up the chain. It was strangely slack.
Nelli.
Oh, hello. She looked up. Cold tingles ran down her neck and through her spine, sending a chill running all the way to her fingers and toes. Oh, we have movement. That looks so nice. I love that. Raku was standing over her. Raku Komode, her ex-boyfriend. The tall young man peered down at her with curious, icy eyes from under the fringe of his badly dyed hair. What was he doing here? How could he be here? Right now, at this exact moment? Right when she would have done anything to avoid seeing him?
What are you doing here?
I was going for a bike ride, actually.
I went for an early morning bike ride.
Really?
It was still a little too dark to clearly see his face, but Nelli could hear the skepticism in his voice. It made sense. During the year that they had dated, Nelli never used her bike for anything other than her daily 20-minute commute on the occasional shopping trip. Voluntary exercise was torture for her.
I'm trying to be healthier.
Oh, that's good. Me too. I was out for a walk myself. Drank too many energy drinks to power through the night, so I'm trying to burn off some of the caffeine.
His voice trailed off.
Anyway, are you alright? Fell off your bike?
He extended a hand. Nelli didn't take it. She stood up and slung the bag around her shoulder again, ignoring the mud and twigs stuck to her raincoat. Yes? Raku smiled awkwardly and retracted the hand before kneeling by her
My
bike.
chain.
You didn't do this to me, did you, Raku?
It's broken.
What?
Raku picked up the broken ends of the chain and waved them around.
Don't think you'll be able to ride it for a while, unfortunately. You're heading home, right? Me too. I'll walk with you.
I don't know if that would be appropriate. Nelli's voice caught in her throat. She tried to think of some excuse, anything that she could blurt out to make him go away, but she couldn't think of anything. Raku's face softened with a melancholic expression.
We don't have to talk. I just don't want to leave you alone out here. Not after what happened to Sana.
What happened to Sana? Nelli bit her lip. Sana, her roommate and her best friend since middle school, had vanished 3 months ago. Oh, okay, well, that's close to home. A week later, her body was found at the bottom of a cliff in this very forest, mangled beyond recognition. Dang. A tragic hiking accident. That's a pretty tragic accident. Maybe we should try to be a little independent here.
I'm fine. I don't need you to escort me.
Raku frowned.
I'm sorry, but I can't abandon you here knowing your bike's broken.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't care if you hate me. Just let me walk with you.
Raku extended a hand.
Want me to carry the bag for you?
No.
Nelli jerked away. What's in the bag, girl? Ooh, say nothing or it's heavy. I mean, saying it's heavy is not going to do much of anything. Let's say nothing. Let's be suspicious as heck. She held the bag close. Oh, I love that. This is so well done. I love this. He didn't respond. Instead, he placed both hands on the bike handles and started to walk it down the road. It's like graphic comic book, but with movement too. I really like it. To Nelli's relief, Raku stayed true to his word. Normally, he was quite talkative, rambling to her about whatever nerdy hobby captivated him that week. Now, he didn't say a word. In fact, he was barely looking at her. He just continued walking, only casting an occasional glance at Nelli to make sure he was walking at her pace. When she was certain that he wasn't looking, Nelli peeked at her ex-boyfriend out of the corner of her eye. The circles under his eyes were as dark as ever, permanently tattooed reminders of his horrific sleeping habits. They stood out darkly against the anemic pallor of his skin. He was usually on the paler side, but he looked even more sickly than normal. Maybe he hadn't been getting enough sleep? Other students at their university used copious amounts of caffeine to fuel last-minute homework assignments or late-night cram sessions. But Nelli knew better. Raku had definitely stayed up all night raiding with his guild in his latest MMORPG addiction, Echidna Online. Amazing. He conscripted her on a few occasions, giving her precise instructions on what buttons to press while he ran to the bathroom. Nice. Those probably should have been bitter memories, but strangely enough, Nelli didn't hate those evenings. She would lay on his bed, planting turnips and petting cows on her handheld console, and every once in a while he would turn to her and grumble about a lackadaisical teammate or celebrate a particularly close call. She wondered if his raids went well. He had complained about terrible drops for the past 2 months. Did he finally get the item that he wanted? Something hit her face. She reached up and wiped the raindrop trickling down her forehead. But as soon as she did that, another droplet hit her face. And then another. And another. Soon, a torrent of water was assaulting them. Nelli drew her hood over her head, guarded from the onslaught by her raincoat. Raku wasn't nearly so lucky.
Over there!
He grabbed her hand, ushering her to an old bus stop at the side of the road. When they entered, Raku wheeled the bike inside, leaning it against the back wall.
Lucky. Glad this was here.
Very lucky. He wiped his face with his sleeve and ran a hand through his hair, flicking some of the water out.
You were even luckier, though.
What do you mean?
He pointed at her coat.
I'm surprised you thought to wear a raincoat. Rain wasn't anywhere on the weather forecast this morning.
It was kind of humid, so...
Raku seemed to accept the explanation. He leaned the bike to the side and looked around the inside of the bus stop.
I wonder if the buses still come to this stop. There's no sign.
He took his phone out of the pocket of his jeans and wiped it on his sweatshirt before thumbing through to the Maps app.
No reception. Can't load anything.
He squinted at the stormy gray sky.
Maybe it'll stop soon. No choice but to wait.
He plopped himself on the bench, crossing his legs and leaning his elbow on his knee. Nelli chewed her thumb, glaring at the raindrops falling all around them. How dare you make me stuck here with my ex-boyfriend? Should she leave? But if she did that, he might be suspicious, and she couldn't abandon her bike here. Her bag wasn't waterproof either. She brushed off the bench and sat down too. Raku tried to hide a smile. He rubbed the back of his neck and looked all around the inside of the bus stop, his gaze straying to every nook and cranny before finally landing on Nelli.
So, what have you been up to lately?
So,
Nothing much. Working on my thesis.
you have beautiful eyes, by the way. Ask about him, stay silent, talk about your thesis. Oh gosh, I don't know what the play is here. Maybe I'll take the middle road and just be quiet. Raku dared to shoot a glance in Nelli's direction, but her stony face extinguished any hope that he might prolong the conversation. He looked away, biting his lower lip in resignation. I need info on why you guys broke up.
Hey,
He looked her up and down, brows furrowing, scrutinizing the mud on her leggings and raincoat. Nelli shrank under his attentive appraisal.
you're hurt.
Huh?
She looked down. As she sat on the bench, the raincoat was pulled up, revealing her knees. Holes had been ripped in both of her leggings, exposing the skin underneath. One knee had small red patches where it had been rubbed raw against the ground. Ow. The other had been completely skinned. Blood ran down in dark crimson rivulets, staining her leggings a muddy purple. Nelli blinked. Why hadn't she felt anything? Was it the cold? Or the adrenaline? Raku knelt by her knees and rummaged around in his inner jacket pocket, fishing out a white handkerchief that he carries around for just such an occasion. He wiped the blood that was trickling down her leg before diverting his attention to the wound. He dabbed at it, carefully wiping the exposed flesh. Her ex-boyfriend had, unfortunately, spent all of his skill points on his academic smarts, coding skills, and gaming prowess. He was sorely lacking in most of life's necessary abilities. There was always a 50% chance that his toast would emerge completely charred. He kept his papers in haphazardly organized piles on the floor. Somehow he even managed to sew an entire shirt sleeve shut while attempting to reattach a button. The button was sadly not attached. How did you do that to a sleeve? Like, where's the button that you would sew a sleeve shut? But he was always meticulous. No matter how small the task, Raku expended 120% effort. He would fuss for an hour while reducing a cream sauce to the perfect consistency. When he did her laundry, he carefully smoothed out every wrinkle. When she went out of town and asked him to take care of her cat, he shared a spreadsheet with her, detailing every aspect of the pet's care. As she watched him painstakingly try to remove every speck of dirt from her scraped knee, those little memories floated through Nelli's head, refusing to leave, no matter how hard she tried to push them away. I mean, it's only been a couple weeks, right, since you broke up. Her mind was foggy and her heart tightened.
Does it hurt? Unfortunately, all I have is this. Shoot, I wish we were at home. This needs to be cleaned with ethanol. Does that hurt? Tell me if it hurts.
I'm fine, man.
I'm fine.
It's just a scraped knee. Nelli bit her lip. Her knee didn't hurt, but this sight did. Raku kneeling next to her, worrying and tending to her scrapes and bruises. They had broken up. She should have been a stranger to him. Less than a stranger. Raku tied the handkerchief around the scrape, making sure that it wasn't too tight.
How's that? Okay?
It's fine.
She swallowed. The lump in her throat bobbed in place, refusing to disappear.
Somehow the blood got on the outside of your coat, too. Not a lot, though.
He scrubbed a few spots on the bottom of the raincoat. He gave her coat one last wipe with the handkerchief before getting up and returning to his seat.
I'm sorry. I didn't notice you were hurt.
I said it's okay.
They stewed in silence for around 10 minutes, but as they sat, Nelli could tell that Raku was growing increasingly tense. His leg bounced as he chewed on his lip. Finally, he turned towards her.
Nelli, can we talk?
No, you promised me that we wouldn't have to talk. I mean, I know that we weren't going to get stuck here in the rain, but... Here it was. He wanted to talk. Of course he did. They had dated for almost a year and a half. They had even discussed their future plans together. Wow. If Raku had sent her a text out of the blue saying, "I'm breaking up with you," then she would have had questions too. Is the breakup connected to your best friend dying tragically. She didn't want to talk or explain, which was why she had avoided him for 2 weeks after sending the text. She had eluded him very successfully, until this moment, that is.
Was it something I did? Did I do something wrong?
Ooh, you're suffocating. You're suffocating sounds like the truthful answer. We're graduating soon is kind of like, if you want to spare his feelings. And then I don't need to explain myself is like, just continuing to be like, eh. I've been pretty guarded this entire time, except for the first choice. I'll continue on my guarded train for now.
I don't owe you an explanation. I want to break up. You should respect that.
You're not even willing to say one sentence? We were talking about moving in together a month ago. I don't understand how your feelings changed so quickly.
They just did.
She looked down and twisted her fingers together. She hesitated to say anything further. It felt like she was standing on the edge of a precipice and a single word would send her tumbling into the abyss.
Is it because of what I did to Ji-hoon? Because I didn't apologize?
He gritted his teeth.
You know why I did it. You heard all those things he was saying about Sana. Insisting that she was addicted to social media, saying she probably fell because she was trying to take a cute selfie with the sunrise.
That's rude.
How could he say that? About his own girlfriend. He deserved more than one punch.
Damn, said that about your own girlfriend. That's cold. Nelli's mouth tightened. She wanted to protest, to say that wasn't it. In reality, Raku's outburst had been gratifying. At the memorial, she sat in silence, trying to ignore Ji-hoon's prattle so that she could focus on honoring Sana. The seconds felt like grueling hours. She wanted to sew Ji-hoon's mouth shut. When Raku finally hit him, it felt as if Raku had taken all her bubbling indignation and anger and shoved it in Ji-hoon's face. He hit him at the funeral? Dang. Okay, so she didn't break up with him for that. Do we continue to stay silent? Okay, you know what? I said I was going to stay on my... I'm a cold rock line. I'm going to stay in my cold rock line.
When I asked for your number the first time, I didn't really think you'd give it to me. After all, you're you, and I'm me. I didn't think I had a shot with you. But I had to ask. I would have cursed myself if I didn't even try. And you gave it to me. And then you said yes when I asked you out for lunch, and then you kept saying yes. I was so happy. But I also thought that maybe you just viewed me as your gaming friend. So I asked, is this a date? And then you laughed and said, of course it's a date. At that moment, I felt this pang in my chest. I realized something. All of the messy, revolting things that had happened up until that point. The vile vulgarity of my own existence. It was because I had already spent all the luck I had in this lifetime to meet you. I had never met anyone like you before. Even though life hasn't been kind to you, you always find room in your heart to be kind to others. People, plants, animals. Even something as little and creepy and disgusting as an insect.
Is that why you guys like spiders?
I still remember when you found a spider in your apartment. Not a small one either. It was perched on the wall above your bed, barely holding on with 3 broken legs.
How big would it have to be for you to see that 3 of its legs are broken?
You reached out and caught it in your hands. It would have been so easy to squish it right then and there. But you didn't. You opened the window and let it go. At that moment, I knew you were special. Really special.
You wanted to be my spider?
I don't remember that at all. Did I do that?
Raku laughed.
You did. I guess you wouldn't remember. It was such a small thing. But I remembered.
Raku turned towards Nelli and slowly extended his arms around her. She stiffened slightly, but she didn't push him away.
You know how you go through life, and you meet all these different people, but none of them really know you. You'll meet and you'll talk about what movie just came out, or what assignment is due next in class, or what food they're serving in the cafeteria. But you can never tell them about the real you. It's like you brush together for a second, and then the next, you're each going your separate ways. And when you stop taking classes together, or you move away, you never see those people again. And your life isn't any different, in the end, because they didn't really know you. But you're different, Nelli. You know me. In some ways, you know me better than my closest friends, and even my family. You know things about me that I can never tell anyone else. And if I couldn't see you anymore, then my life would be different. There would be a big, gaping hole where you used to be. Losing you terrifies me. I'm afraid that no one else would be able to know me the way you do. That I won't be able to open up to anyone else the way I opened up to you. And I don't want anyone else to know me the way you do, because they wouldn't be you.
I didn't know you felt that way about me.
Aw. When Nelli didn't resist, Raku pulled her tighter, whispering in her ear.
I don't want to break up. I love you, Nelli. I never want to love anyone but you. You don't feel the same? Not at all.
Nelli stayed silent, but she unconsciously leaned into Raku's hold. When her friends talked about their childhoods, Nelli couldn't relate. When they reminisced, they brought up their beloved childhood cartoons, their favorite vacations, and their cherished family pets. Nelli didn't have memories of any of those things. Instead, all she remembered was the constant yelling, the embarrassment when she couldn't afford lunch, the fear as she huddled under the covers, never at home, even in her own house, the relief when her father went out one day and never returned. Sometimes she talked to Sana, and Sana tried her best. She listened and nodded and said, "I understand completely." But that was a lie. There were simply some things that Nelli's best friend couldn't understand. All Sana could offer were some comforting words. "That's rough. That's horrible. I can't believe that happened." As if Nelli's favorite television show had been canceled, or she cracked her phone screen, or she had gotten a D on her latest exam. It wasn't Sana's fault, but it didn't make Nelli feel any better. Eventually, Nelli stopped talking about herself altogether. That changed when she met Raku. It wasn't some dramatic encounter. They were standing in line at the library, both waiting to check out a couple of books. Raku noticed the keychain hanging from her backpack, a small white and blue pixel art spaceship from Space Blasters. When they reached the front of the line and Nelli handed the librarian her books, they were still excitedly chatting about their favorite retro games. She promised to lend Raku one of her cartridges, and they exchanged contacts. Nelli didn't talk about herself at first. They talked, of course, but it was usually about their shared hobbies. They liked different genres and played in different ways. Raku fancied punishing difficulty and expansive exploration, while Nelli preferred methodically leveling her characters with optimized strategies. Still, they had plenty in common. When the conversation veered too personal, Nelli drove it back into the safety of benign small talk. Yet Raku had a way of methodically tearing down her carefully constructed barriers. As they lounged on his bed, full and drowsy from eating too much cheap pizza, the words started slipping out of her mouth one by one. For Nelli, Raku was different. When he listened to her darkest thoughts, he didn't look at her with pity, skepticism, disgust, or apathy. He looked at her with understanding, as if he had been with her every step of the way. Raku was special. That's exactly why they had to break up. She couldn't involve him in her life or her problems. She had to end it. So, you ended it because he understood you? Girl, you were scared? You were scared. Tell him you were scared! Let him help you and not be Yandere, somehow, please. Nelli wormed her hands between their bodies and pushed Raku away forcefully. I'm a rock. I'm not a cruel rock, but I am a rock. I'm not even a kind rock, I'm just a rock.
I don't want to date you anymore. End of story. It's not a discussion.
You tried, man.
So that's it? It's over? Just like that?
Nelli's voice was resolute.
It's over.
It's over. It's over.
And he snapped.
It's over.
Every time he repeated himself, his face darkened.
Even though I've loved you for years. Even though I loved you this much.
He lowered his head, dragging a hand through his hair as he turned away from her. He returned to the other side of the bus stop, leaning one hand heavily against the wall as raindrops dampened his worn-out orange sneakers. Nelli thought about responding. She considered spouting a few words of comfort, reassuring her ex-boyfriend with some cliché lines. It's not you, it's me. I'm not good enough for you. She was his first serious girlfriend. He had told her as much. He had never experienced heartbreak. He was a child, crying over his first scraped knee, acting like his leg had been amputated without anesthesia. She reconsidered and decided to stay silent. It was better if he believed that she was cruel and callous. After a few weeks of sad gaming sessions and angry rants to his friends, he would probably forget about her altogether. Besides, she couldn't worry about him right now. She had bigger problems at hand. Yeah, like the fact that you just told a Yandere no. He straightened. When he stood in front of her again, there was something different about his expression. Something colder, more resolute. As if he had made some sort of decision during his morose period of introspection.
I heard about you and Ji-hoon. I've seen you two around.
I don't think that's it, sir. Prickles ran up Nelli's spine.
What about it? Are you going to start policing who I spend time with? I don't see how that's any business of yours.
Would you really hang out with the guy who said that about your best friend?
People have been talking, saying that you took advantage of your best friend's death to cozy up to her rich boyfriend.
Oh, we're getting some drama now.
They said that you two spent a lot of time together. That you went to his house on Friday.
Ooh.
Is that why you broke up with me? Because you wanted to get together with Ji-hoon? Do you love him?
Her? In love with Ji-hoon? The very thought made Nelli want to vomit. She would rather date an insect. Do I stay with my rock? I don't know. I mean, I could speak the truth, but would he believe her at this point? He's so upset at her. But saying nothing is like being... It's like you're agreeing to it. You know what? I'll at least try to stand up for myself.
I don't.
Then, is it someone else?
She didn't want to lie, but if she stayed quiet, then maybe Raku would come to his own conclusions and drop the matter. It'd come to the wrong conclusions.
What am I supposed to do? What can I say? I don't want to lose you.
His voice was soft and quiet, almost pitiful.
For me, a world with only you is enough, Nelli. I only need you. No matter who you are, or what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need me. You don't even want me.
Nelli opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. She simply stared at Raku's face, eyes widening. When she finally responded, she didn't say the words that she had intended to say.
What are you?
Oh? Why was that the words that came out of your mouth? Raku reached up and touched his face, tracing his fingers over his eyebrow ridge, along his mouth and down his chin.
Oh no, I got a little worked up. Wait.
Wait, did you, like, face change? What just happened? Nelli leaned back on her elbows and booted Raku square in the chest. Nice. He coughed as the air was knocked from his lungs, landing hard in a puddle on the concrete. I like her QuickTime event skills. Just like, nope, get away, demon, not today. She broke off into a run down the road. She left her bike at the bus stop, but she didn't care. The only thought in her head was run, run, run. The raindrops pelted her face painfully, but she didn't stop to put her hood up. Every time her energy started to wane and her pace slowed, the image of Raku's face flashed under her eyelids and she ran faster. After she had sprinted for 20 minutes, she dared to glance behind her, didn't see him, and then turned back to face the front, and he was there. He wasn't following, but she didn't stop running, not for a second. This sound effect. By the time she made it back to town, it had stopped raining, and the sun was high in the sky, ready to make the trip down. As she approached her apartment building, the town was dyed in sunset hues, and the sky was beginning to dim. She sprinted to the entrance, looking behind her every so often. When she was inside, she darted up the stairs, which whined at every frantic step. Now see, this is a classic mistake. You never run for home when you're being chased. Go somewhere else. Anywhere else. Don't go home. Nelli went up to her apartment and fumbled her keys out of her pocket. She slammed the door shut behind her. The first thing that she did when she entered the darkened room was scoop up her cat, who sashayed up to her, meowing for attention and food. Nelli forcefully turned the lock on her door, as if the extra effort would somehow make the bolt more secure. As she checked the lock, she had a sudden, chilling realization. Raku had a key to her apartment. Yeah. Nelli dropped her cat and dragged her bookshelf in front of the door. She hoped that would be enough to stop him. She didn't know. It's too late. You've just locked yourself in here. She crouched behind her bed, holding a broom with her kitchen knife duct taped to the end. Oh, interesting. Like a makeshift spear? She didn't know that much about weapons, and this improvised spear was the best that she could come up with from the items in her house. Hey, kitty! As she waited, Nelli examined the shoddy tool. Could she really use it against Raku? The Raku that brought her rice balls when she was too tired and stressed to cook? The Raku that always seemed to know when she wanted a hug? The Raku that... face changed on me, maybe? Nelli gripped the shaft of the broom. She could. She could do anything to defend herself. She would do anything to defend herself. After all, she had done it before. Had you? A couple of hours passed. Every time Nelli heard footsteps creaking in the hallway, her heart jumped and she grabbed her makeshift weapon. But each time the footsteps faded away without approaching. Eventually, she relaxed enough to venture to the kitchen, where she opened a tin of cat food for her increasingly whiny companion. She put the contents of the yellow bag in the freezer before eating a quarter of a leftover sandwich, keeping a close eye on the door. Monday passed. Tuesday passed too. The only visitor that she received was a spider that appeared on her closet door. It stayed for a while, appraising her with its curiously icy eyes. Every few hours it would change its position slightly, moving to the bedpost, the ceiling, and finally the curtain hanging over the window. Her phone buzzed. Calendar reminders about her classes. Messages about her missed tutoring sessions. Emails from her lab partners and her thesis advisor. Eventually, she turned her phone off altogether. On Wednesday morning, a sharp rap came from the door. Nelli huddled next to her bed, holding her cat close. She worried that the bookshelf wouldn't hold. You, didn't call anybody for days, girl? A human voice emanated from behind the door. It wasn't Raku. Nelli Owens? This is the police. I'll definitely rescue you. Wait for me. Okay. What was that ending? I'm so intrigued. Thank you for taking the time to try out Karamu. Now that you've played the game once, endings C and D are unlocked. You can access them by playing through the game again. If you need a hint, try being nice to Raku. For a more detailed walkthrough, go to the walkthrough in the help section. I highly recommend playing through all the endings to get the full story. Aw, Chattercap, that's so mean, though. How do I know what ending I got? Not gonna lie, I'm kind of tempted to go through. Oops, I keep pressing wrong buttons. Kind of tempted to go through. There is a walkthrough. Ending C and ending D. Okay, you know what? I won't look at that. I'm going to do one more where I'm nice to him, because I'm like, what did she see? I'm so confused. Let's do one more at least. Yeah? Yeah. One more. This button? There we go. Let's try being nice. We'll tell him we're going for a bike ride again.
I went for an early morning bike ride.
Okay. So let's say all right this time.
All right.
She tried to rack her brain for an excuse, but she had no good reason to say no. How come this is not working anymore? If I go away from here, there we go. Raku extended a hand.
Want me to carry the bag for you?
Okay, I think we're back again. It's heavy? Maybe?
It's heavy. I don't want to bother you with it.
Okay. So now we're skipping again. Let's ask about him. How are you, man? Like, what's going on with your face and things?
What about you?
I'd like to say I've been working on my thesis too, but I've been occupied with a personal project.
Oh.
Coding related?
Raku was notoriously capricious with his interests. During the year that they had been together, Nelli had seen him shovel out over a dozen small projects. Mobile apps, video games, online tools, and the like. Any small shower thought would be spun into reality within a weekend.
Something a little different this time.
More personal. A cryptic answer, but Nelli resisted the urge to probe.
Well, try not to get too distracted. But I'm sure you'll finish your thesis either way.
No matter how much he procrastinated, Raku always managed to submit his assignments on time with stellar results. It irked Nelli to no end. Raku smiled.
I wish everyone believed in me the way you do, Nelli. Hey.
Okay. I'm bleeding again. Let's see. Okay. We're graduating soon.
We're graduating soon. I'll go to veterinary school. You'll probably get a job on the other side of the country. Long-distance relationships rarely work. How many years are we going to text and video chat? It's unrealistic.
You don't know that it won't work. I can find something where I can work remotely. If not, then we can still at least try. If you're willing, then I'm willing. Any relationship takes effort. A long-distance one just takes a little more effort, that's all. We were talking about moving in together a month ago. I don't understand how your feelings change so quickly.
Okay, we have a bit of a dialogue going.
It's not that.
Then why? When I asked for your number the first time, I didn't really think you'd give it to me.
Ugh, I'm stuck. Alright. Cozy on up. Have some backstory. Be kind. Rewind.
I understand how you feel, but you'll find someone else. There are plenty of people way better for you than me. You just haven't met them yet. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm not ready for this kind of relationship right now.
So that's it? It's over? Just like that?
Maybe. I don't know what's gonna happen this time. Alright. Looks we might be on a different ending streak now. Nelli bit her lip. Part of her heart wanted to apologize, but she swallowed the urge.
It's over. It's over. It's over.
Alright, what's gonna happen now? His face is darkening. Nelli twisted her hands together. Her ex-boyfriend wasn't the most emotive person. When he was amused, he expressed it through soft chuckles, not laughter. On more than one occasion, she only noticed that he was angry because he came home and pulled out a first-person shooter to play. He had only cried in front of her on one occasion. Nelli was lying on his chest, playing with his earrings, when Raku told her about his family, about the abuse and the inhuman expectations. She could tell that he was deliberately holding back the darker details, but his expression told her enough. She nuzzled against his neck, kissed his cheek, and whispered, "You don't have to be who they want you to be. I'll love you no matter who you are." When he heard that, the tears started to flow. They gushed down his cheeks, effusive and unrestrained, and he pulled her in close and repeated "thank you" over and over. Seeing her ex-boyfriend now strongly reminded Nelli of that evening. Raku's reaction squeezed her heart painfully, but she couldn't worry about him right now. She had bigger problems at hand. He straightened. Alright, something different. As if he had made some sort of decision during his morose period of introspection.
I heard about you and Ji-hoon. I've seen you two around.
No, you didn't.
We're in the same department, in a lot of the same classes. It would be stranger if we didn't spend any time together. I've been helping him with his thesis, too.
People have been talking, saying that you took advantage of your best friend's death to cozy up to her rich boyfriend. They said that you two spent a lot of time together, that you went to his house on Friday. At first, I was devastated.
Uh-oh.
I thought, of course she chose him over me. He's tall, handsome, rich, athletic. But then, I thought about it some more. After all, Ji-hoon isn't perfect. We both listened to Sana. We both know how many of his faults that she forgave. His ego, his infidelity, his temper. You're smart. Why would you choose him?
I don't know, but this music makes me nervous.
And there was something else. I thought, the Nelli that I love isn't cruel. She's kind. She wouldn't break up with someone over text just so she could chase another guy. I wondered, why would she do that then? Why would she break up with me so cruelly? Cut me off without another word. Maybe it was because she was planning something. Something where she didn't want anyone else to get involved. Something bad. Sana's death was always a little strange, wasn't it?
I mean, it sounded very strange, yes.
She was the most outdoorsy out of all of us. She went hiking and camping all the time. She visited these woods constantly. She was always prepared. She never went anywhere without her hiking boots. So why was she found wearing a pair of wedge heels?
That's very suspicious.
And she fell off a cliff trying to take a selfie? That Sana? The Sana that only uploaded pictures of food and blurry photos of your cat?
Raku's eyes glimmered.
Do you remember when Sana fractured her ankle? She couldn't walk properly for weeks. She said that she accidentally fell down the stairs when she and Ji-hoon were fighting. I wondered if that happened often. Sana accidentally tumbling down the stairs during fights with her boyfriend. Maybe on the night of her disappearance, she accidentally fell again. But this time, it wasn't down the stairs. It was over the railing. You've seen the stairs in the Kang family mansion. If you dropped head first over the railing onto that pristine marble floor, you'd never wake up again. Ji-hoon's standing over the body. He's the Kang family prince. He can't be involved in something like this. His life would be ruined. So he takes her body to a cliff near the house and drops her off it. She didn't die at his mansion. She died while hiking by herself. Too easy. After that, all he had to do was ask a few of his friends to cover for him. They're too eager to lie to suck up to the Kang heir. But there was one snag in his plans. Sana's best friend, who couldn't stop crying for over a month after she was found, who was too familiar with the kind of guy Ji-hoon really was. Who knew where Sana was the night she disappeared. Because they were roommates who texted each other about everything. The best friend was suspicious. She wanted to know the truth. So she broke up with her poor boyfriend and got close to Ji-hoon instead. It wouldn't have been difficult to get an invite to his house. Maybe Ji-hoon even offered. Why don't you come pick up Sana's belongings? She left some things at my place. And then something unexpected happened. A plot twist, if you will.
Raku leaned a little closer, sweeping his eyes over Nelli.
You know, something has been bothering me for a while now. Something smells. At first I thought it was your knee, but
Oh no.
that's not quite right, is it?
Nelli, what's in the bag? Nelli, what's in the bag?
The stench is too strong for that.
He breathed in heavily and exhaled with a contented sigh. Nelli.
What is that odor? A little sweet, slightly metallic. It smells delicious.
His glass-like eyes glittered under his stringy blue-tinged bangs, boring holes into the sports bag lying in Nelli's lap.
What's in the bag, Nelli?
What's in the bag? He knows. Run or stab him! What great choices. That's not the... How do I want to make a save. Hold on. Alright. We did it. Alright. Coin flippy time! Heads, we run. No, tails, we run. Heads, we face him head on and stab him somewhere. Hiya! Oh, we're running. Alright. Run, girl, run! Nelli didn't think. She lunged forward, bashing Raku in the stomach with her shoulder. He didn't fall. He only stumbled, but that still gave Nelli the chance to break away from him. She sprinted away from the bus stop. She turned away from the road, escaping into the forest. Nelli tore her way through the foliage, weaving around the trees. The yellow bag bounced against her side with every step, weighing her down like a ball and chain. She peered over her shoulder. She couldn't see him. Had she lost him? Her legs fell out from under her, sending her crashing to the ground. The fall knocked the breath out of her, but luckily her tumble was cushioned by a thick layer of vegetation. Nelli looked back. She thought that her foot had caught a protruding tree root, but that wasn't the case. Instead, her boot was entangled in a mess of sticky, gold-tinged threads. Oh, he's a spider, isn't he? Oh, that was what the whole spider thing was a thing? And he changed into a spider? He's a spider boy? No, wait. She started to pull at them when she noticed something out of the corner of her eye. It had rolled out. It stared at her from a few feet away. Why did it roll out? The bag was closed. She made sure it was closed. Why?
Nelli.
Hi! Raku walked around Nelli. He put his sneaker on Ji-hoon's decapitated head and started rolling it around almost playfully.
You've been busy, haven't you? You must have had quite the late night.
He leaned over and picked up the handle of the hacksaw, which had also jettisoned out of the bag during Nelli's fall. He dangled it between his fingers before giving it a few experimental swings.
It would have taken a long time using this old thing. You're probably exhausted.
He tossed the hacksaw back in the bag and retrieved the knife. He ran his index finger along the edge, scrutinizing the reddish residue that rubbed off onto his fingertip.
I wonder, was this your plan all along? Or was it an accident?
I feel like it was on purpose.
He deserved it. Ji-hoon killed Sana. He murdered her and dumped her in the woods like a piece of garbage. He made up lies about her and bribed his friends to cover up for him. What gives him the right? Because he's rich? Because his family is powerful, that means he can get away with whatever he wants? He made Sana's life hell up until the moment he stole it from her. Even if I get caught, I don't regret anything. I treated him like the trash he was. Like how he treated Sana.
I have to admit, this is a side of you that I haven't seen before.
He snickered.
I kind of like it.
I knew you would. The pale young man sighed before stooping closer to Nelli.
You know what you need to do now, right, Nelli?
And what's that? What do I need to do?
Raku flipped the knife around, extending the handle to Nelli. When she didn't take it, he forced it between her fingers and folded his hands around hers.
What you've been doing all along, of course. You need to get rid of the evidence.
You want me to kill you, too? When Nelli didn't move, Raku squeezed her hands, forcing her to inch the knife closer to his throat. Nelli struggled, but Raku's grip was too strong.
What are you doing? Stop!
Come on, you can do it. You're a cold-blooded killer, aren't you? One more shouldn't be a big deal.
Nelli tried to kick him away, but Raku pressed his legs onto her feet, preventing her from kneeing him in the stomach. Gosh darn it.
I'll do anything for you, Nelli. Everything I have is yours, including my life.
The tip of the knife dug into the collar of his turtleneck, piercing the fabric.
Stop it!
Nelli jerked her arms backward and to the side, throwing Raku off balance. He released his hands and braced them on either side of Nelli to avoid toppling onto her. The knife dropped into the grass next to them. For a few moments, Raku hovered above Nelli, breathing heavily. She hesitated before daring to look at his face. He was grinning from ear to ear. He leaned over and picked up the knife before standing back up. He turned around and dropped the knife back into the bag.
I knew it. You tried your best, but you're not a bad person, Nelli. You're not a criminal. You're not made to do things like this. Even if you cut him up and throw him all over the place, they'll find the pieces. They know when he disappeared. They know you're the one who was getting close to him. They know you're the one who saw him last.
Raku put a hand on her head, ruffling her hair affectionately. Aw, so cute.
It's okay, Nelli. Don't worry. I can help you do bad things. After all, I'm a bad person. I was made to do things like this. Or rather, person might be the wrong way to put it.
Spider boy? Spider boy? Spider boy. As Nelli stared up at Raku's ominous smile, her pupils contracted. She tried to scoot backward, but the webs caught her legs, preventing her from retreating. Raku had lied. You know me? You know me better than anyone else? Nelli didn't know him, not in the slightest. Before her eyes, her ex-boyfriend's body began to morph. Let's go! A thick black carapace formed over his skin, and 4 massive legs sprouted from his back, landing on the ground and lifting his body into the air. His face twisted and warped as a pair of fangs germinated from his mouth and another set of eyes formed. Within a minute, she could no longer describe what she was looking at. It almost looked like some grotesque amalgamation of a human and a spider. Oh my god! That is terrifying! Why are some of your legs so much bigger than the others? Okay. The creature picked up Ji-hoon's head, turning it around in its hands a few times before vomiting over it. Well, was that really necessary? As the digestive fluid softened the meal for consumption, the arachnid began chewing it, gnawing at the flesh and cartilage before moving on to the bone. The creature's mandibles made short work of the red sinew and the ivory shards. So are you offering to eat the evidence? I mean, I appreciate it, I guess. It only took a minute for Ji-hoon's half-melted face to disappear between the spider's massive jaws vanishing down its gullet.
Done.
The creature. Nelli's shoulders jumped. She hadn't expected a human voice to emerge from that distinctly non-human face. It sounded like Raku, though his voice was low and guttural.
Now, all you have to do is show me where you tossed the other parts. As for the saw and the knife, well, I don't want to eat those, but I'm sure we can find a good place to get rid of them.
The creature picked some of the strands of hair from around its fangs and swallowed those too. Ugh.
In truth, I don't like doing things like this. I want to be different. I don't want to be who they want me to be.
So what are you?
But I can't reject it either. Because I need to get rid of any obstacles standing in the way of your happiness. It doesn't matter who or what. I'll destroy them. I don't want you to experience the vulgar things in life, Nelli. I don't want you to feel any more pain or sorrow or heartache. I'll do anything to make that happen.
The creature repositioned itself closer to Nelli, stabbing its massive black legs into the ground too close to her for comfort. It swung its head in front of her face. 4 eyes blinked at her in unison. Ribbons of skin and muscle hung from the monster's fangs. When the spider's mouth opened, Nelli froze. She imagined those jaws clamping down on her head, tearing her skull from her body in one sickening crunch.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, you want to change back from me, sweet thing?
Kissing me like this wouldn't be very comfortable, would it?
You gotta give me a few months to cozy up to the idea, honestly. If it's okay with you, creature. Nelli blinked, and in the next moment, Raku had transformed back into a human. He chewed a couple times and wiped the blood off of his chin with his sleeve. And she's like, much better. Now I may smooch you. His eyes glittered as he brought his face closer. However, when he was a couple inches away, he paused.
Can I kiss you?
I mean, you just ate a guy's head in front of me, though. You know what? We're gonna go full-on psycho mode with our spider boy this time. Yep. Nelli swallowed and grit her teeth. She slowly nodded her head up and down. Her ex-boyfriend beamed. Is he your ex now? As he leaned in, she squeezed her eyes shut. When he pressed his lips against hers, her mouth tightened. Undeterred, he probed his tongue between her lips insistently. Oh, can you just give me, you just ate a guy's head. When she parted them, he drew her in closer, eager to explore every cranny of her mouth with his tongue. A coppery scent wafted through Nelli's nostrils. Raku tasted like metal and acid. An uncomfortable, queasy feeling burrowed into her stomach, infecting her intestines. When Raku finally released her, Nelli reached up and wiped her mouth off. Her ex-boyfriend didn't seem bothered, though. His smile was bigger than ever, lighting up his anemic face like a glowing sunrise.
Now you're willing to discuss the breakup again, aren't you? Because now, you need me.
I gotta say, hell of a way to make a girl need you. You get bonus points for creativity. I'm glad that you agreed to get back together. We're going to be very happy. We're going to be 2 little spiders just in a happy little web pod. Oh, that was so good. Oh, I'm curious about the other 2 endings, but I'm going to stop there for now, guys. If you're curious, I urge you, go download this game. Links in the description. Go support Chattercap for this amazing thing. I was not expecting this at all. I'm so glad that I didn't see the word yandere and run away screaming in the other direction, because this was fantastic. I enjoyed the heck out of that. That was so uncomfortable and gross, but also awesome. I think I need to get my head examined, but I loved it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And, yeah, that's gonna do it for me today. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.